Bye. Gora Nitai ki Krishna Balaram Vishwavardhana ki Radha Govinda Manara ki Durga Devasam Shiva So we read from Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, chapter 1, and I think we go there. 19 in the bottom. What should I do? Speak English, speak French? Okay, this canto is called Liberation. 9th canto is title of the canto is Liberation. So we are in high topic. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Repeat after me. Nishamyam Tad Vachas Tasya Nishamya Tad Vachas Tasya Bhagavan Prapitamaha
Bhagavan Prapitamaha Otur
Yatikramam
Gyatva
Otur Yatikramam Gyatva Babashe Ravi Nandanam Babashe Ravi
Nandanam
Nityamyatad Vachastasya Bhagavan Prapitamaha Otur Yatikramam Gyatva Babashe Ravi Nandanam Nityamyatad Vachastasya Bhagavan Prapitamaha Otur Yatikramam Gyatva Babashe Ravi Nandanam Nityamyatad Vachastasya Bhagavan Prapitamaha Otur Yatikramam Gyatva Babashe Ravi Nandanam
Nishamyatadvachastasya Bhagavan Prapitamaha Otur Yatikramam Gyatva Babashe Ravi Nandanam
Nishamyatadvachastasya
Bhagavan Prapitamaha Otur Vyatikramam Gyatva Babashe Ravi Nandanam
Nishamyatadvachastasya
Nishamyatadvachastasya
Bhagavan Prapitamaha
Bhagavan Prapitamaha
Oturvyatikramam Gyatva
Oturvyatikramam Gyatva
Babashe Ravinandanam
Babashe Ravinandanam
Nishamyatadvachastasya
Nishamyatadvachastasya
Bhagavan Prapitamaha
Bhagavan Prapitamaha
Oturvyatikramam Gyatva
Oturvyatikramam Gyatva
Babashe Ravinandanam
Babashe Ravinandanam
Okay, Mataji.
Nishamyatadvachastasya
Nishamyatadvachastasya
Bhagavan Prapitamaha
Bhagavan Prapitamaha
Oturvyatikramam Gyatva
Oturvyatikramam Gyatva
Babase Ravinandanam
Babashe Ravinandanam
Nishamyatadvachastasya
Nishamyatadvachastasya
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
Prapitamaha
Prapitamaha
Oturvyatikramam Gyatva
Oturvyatikramam Gyatva
Babase
Babashe
Ravinandanam
Ravinandanam
Translation word for word. Nichamya.
Nishamya
After eating.
after hearing
Tadvacha.
Tadvachaha
Thus words.
those words
Tasya.
Tasya
Of him.
of him
Manu.
Manu
Bhagavan.
Bhagavan
The most powerful.
the most powerful
Prapitamaha.
Prapitamaha
The great grandfather Vashishta.
the great grandfather Vashishta
Oturvyatikramam.
Oturvyatikramam
Discrepancy on the part of the Ota priest.
discrepancy on the part of the Hota priest
Yadva.
Yadva
Understanding.
understanding
Babashe.
Babashe
Spoke.
spoke
Ravinandana.
Ravinandanam
Unto Vaivasvata Manu.
unto Vaivasvatamanu
Son of the sun god.
son of the sun god.
So translation by the guys A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The most powerful great grandfather Vasishta, after eating this word of Manu, understood the discrepancy on the part of the priest. Thus he spoke as follows to the son of the sun god. There is many verses without purport. I will read all these verses and after we speak when I come to the purport. Just to remember, we are in the past time where so Manu wanted a son and he asked from the priest to make some yagya to have a son, a man. And at the same time, his wife wanted a woman, and she was very austere. She was living just by drinking milk, and she had a lot of power by this austerity. And she asked for a daughter, and so it was a problem for Manu because by her austerity she was stronger than him, so her demand was fulfilled at the end of this yaga. So Manu got a daughter, but he was waiting for a son. So he was a little bit angry with the priest. Why he asked for the priest for a son and he got a daughter. So we are in this time where now he is addressing to the priest and asking, what happened? I asked for a son and I have a daughter. So this is the situation that we have many times in material life. We have many material desire, and because we are not satisfied, we become angry. So this is the situation in this pastime. So we will see after. It's long story after. So the next, I will read only the translation because there is a lot of verse without purport. So this discrepancy in the objective is due to your pleased deviation from the original purpose. However, by my own prowess, I shall give you a good son. So the story is that Manu addressed to Vasishta, and Vasishta, he was engaging some priest, and now Vasishta is defending himself. He said, "No, it's not my fault. It's the fault of the priest." So now he will do the necessary to reverse this problem that Manu got. So verse 21. Shukadev Goswami said, "O King Parishtit, after the most famous and powerful Vasishta made this decision, he offered prayer to the Supreme Person, Vishnu, to transform Ida into a maid." So Ida is the name of the daughter. Because when he got the daughter, he was happy to get a son, to get some descendants, but he was unhappy that he's a woman. So just at the time of the birth of the son, he was quite happy, but after he became angry to understand that it's a daughter. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Controller, being pleased with Vasishta, gave him the benediction he desired. Thus, Ida was transformed into a very fine maid named Sudyumna. So for the Supreme Lord, there is no difficulty. He can transform a maid in female, it's not difficult. O King Parikshit, that hero Sudyumna, accompanied by a few ministers and associates, and riding on a horse brought from Sindhu Pradesh, once went into the forest to hunt. He wore armor and was decorated with bows and arrows, and he was very beautiful. While following the animals and killing them, he reached the northern part of the forest. 25. That is, in north, at the bottom of Mount Meru, is a forest known as Sukumara, where Lord Shiva always enjoyed with Uma. Sudyumna entered that forest. O King Parikshit, as soon as Sudyumna, who was expert in subduing enemies, entered this forest, he saw himself transformed into a female, and his horse transformed into a mare. So now he's transformed again so first the daughter, so Manu is very angry, so he asked from Vasishta to do something. He transformed the daughter Ila in a man, Sudyumna, and after Sudyumna he's a very strong man, hunter, and he went in the forest of Shiva, and when he enters the forest, he's transformed again in a female body. So you see how is material benediction. You get one thing and after the opposite. And so you can never be very satisfied with this type of benediction. So we are, like I said at the beginning, we are in this canto which is called liberation. So one main thing in liberation is to be liberated from the body conception of life. So this story helps us to realize that bodily conception of life cannot make us happy. You get something and after the opposite and you are never satisfied in this situation. So I continue of reading. When his followers also saw their identities transformed and their sect reversed, they were all very morose and just looked at one another. Maharaj Parikshit said, "O most powerful Brahmana, why was this place so empowered and who made it so powerful? Kindly answer this question, for I am very eager to hear about this." Shukadev Goswami answered, "Great saintly person who strictly observes the spiritual rules and regulations and whose own effulgence dissipate all the darkness of all direction, once came to see Lord Shiva in that forest. When the goddess Ambika saw the great saintly person, she was very much ashamed, because at that time she was naked. She immediately got up from the lap of her husband and tried to cover her breast. Seeing Lord Shiva and Parvati engaged in sexual affair, all the great saintly person immediately desisted from going further and departed for the ashram of Nara Narayana. Thereupon, just to please his wife, Lord Shiva said, "Any male entering this place should immediately become a female." So now we know where it comes from, this power in this forest. So, next verse. Since that time, no male had entered that forest. But now King Sudyumna, having been transformed into a female, began to walk with his associate from one forest to another. So, purport from Srila Prabhupada. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, "Vasamsi jenani yata vihaya, nalani grinati naro parani, tata sharirani vihaya jenani, hanyani samyati navani dehi." As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless one. So the body is just like a dress, and here this is the proof. Sudyumna and his associate were all male, which means that their souls were covered by male dress, but now they became female, which means that their dress was changed. The soul, however, remains the same. It is said that by modern medical treatment, a male can be transformed into a female, and a female into a male. The body, however, has no connection with the soul. The body can be changed either in this life or the next. Therefore, one who has knowledge of the soul and how the soul transmigate from one body to another does not pay attention to the body, which is nothing but a covering dress. Pandita Samadarshina. Such a person sees the soul, which is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is a Samadarshi, a learned person. Om Gyana Chinandasya Gyananjara Shalakaya Chakshurmritam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Bhavalantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudhavadakamaram Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Tam Sijam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sadarita Shri Vishakamitam Sham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinamamu Jagapate Govinda Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Rovam Yukundane Vrindavana Vijay Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Aripriye Vancha Karpatarubhyacha Kripa Sindhubhyaracha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prasharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vasyatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shiva Sadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you very much to give me this opportunity for reading of Srimad Bhagavatam in the assembly of devotee, and please give me some benediction that I can say something revelant. So when I read this pastime, the main thing I was thinking is this notion, this fact that we should not practice devotional service with some material desire to attain, to ask for something. We should try to become more and more pure in our devotional service and not asking anything from the Lord. Our real main Sanatana Dharma is to serve the Lord whatever situation we have around us. And this pastime is quite explicit to show us how, if we are practicing some spirituality, some religious path with some material desire, we will get frustration. This is the only thing we will get, and we will get with suffering, like man who is suffering in this situation. And we have many stories like this in Srimad Bhagavatam. And actually this story is the best way for us to understand what mistake we are doing. Because if a sage comes to say us, you should not ask for this, we would straight take on the false ego and say, well, I don't wait for any material benediction. What do you say I'm waiting for material benediction? So all Srimad Bhagavatam is like this. Is story about other person who help us to realize what mistake we are doing. Because if we speak directly to us, we are too much attached to the body, the mind, and we will just answer with our false ego. And it will not help us to advance forward. So there is also another pastime like this in Srimad Bhagavatam who also support this idea. It's the pastime of Shishraketu. in the sixth canto. Chitraketu was a very powerful king. He had only 10 million wives, only. But he could not get any children. So he was very frustrated. All this wife and no children. So he was very frustrated and he was praying for having a children. And whenever there is a situation like this, Narada Muni come in the story always. So at this past time, Narada Muni and Angira came to the place. And because he was so attached to this material desire to get a son, they didn't instruct him directly on spiritual path. They said to him, they asked him, what is the problem? What is the problem, Chitraketu? What can we do for you? And he said, oh, I'm so frustrated. I have so many wives, but I cannot get any son. So can you give me a son? And Angira was at the first point he was coming to instruct on spiritual path. But when he saw the attachment of this person to a material desire, he said, okay, I will give you a son, but this son will be the cause of your greatest happiness, but also your greatest distress in your life. So Chitraketu said, okay, I really want this son, so I accept, even if it causes me great. He was thinking, oh, this is just bogus. He can just give me happiness, a son, he cannot give me distress. So the Angira gave some magical potion to a wife of Chitraketu, and he got a son. So Chitraketu was very happy. Since all this time he was waiting for a son, he got it. Like for us, we are doing so many austerity in our life to get a good diploma, a good job, a good wife, all this. So we are so happy when it's coming. Well, okay, the goal of life is reached. I'm happy now. But what happened with this son is that the other wife, and there was some, only 10 million, so they become jealous of this wife, of Chitraketu. So they kill the son of Chitraketu. And Chitraketu, he falls in his greatest distress in life. When you wait for something, you get it, you become more attached to this desire to have this pleasure. So if it goes out, you become even more distressed than if you didn't get at the beginning. So he was so distressed about this situation. And when he got this distress, at this point, Angira came back to see him. And he know that now he is ready to receive spiritual knowledge. So I will instruct him now on spiritual knowledge. So for us, what mean all this? It means that when we approach a saintly person, we should not approach him for any material desire. We should approach him to engage ourselves in his pleasure, in his service. We should not ask for material benediction. And if we are very attached to some material desire, we should engage ourselves to be relieved of this material desire. And this is all the system of Varnashram Dharma, to engage our attachment to material life, to the body, in the service of the Lord, in a way that is not create any problem towards the Guru, towards the other devotee. So we keep this great attachment and we engage ourselves in the service of the Lord. And with time, with service, this desire will diminish and we can come to a pure desire just to please the Guru. Anya vilashita shunyam, dhyana karma dhyana vritam, without any jnana or karma, without material attachment. So, because all our attachment in life, they come from jnana and karma. To get material opulence, material position in life, get a great responsibility in life, to be a chef of entreprise, the boss of the entreprise, or to get great knowledge, to get the most learned pandit in all the temple. I can cut all the verse of Bhagavad Gita, I am the boss. And all this is just destroying our pure bhakti, anya vilashita shunyam. And for getting rid of this, our only hope is to engage in service of the Guru. And the Guru is expert to see what is our material desire. So we don't have to say to him what we desire, because he knows already. And according to his desire, he will engage us in a service who can get us relief of this material desire. So just by serving the Guru, serving his instruction, we get rid of this material desire. And we can come to this pure bhakti, where there is no material desire for any material benediction. It's very difficult, because all this knowledge, we have it, but in our heart we keep this attachment. We read in Bhagavad Gita, Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Puna Vartino Arna, we should not pray for any elevation to the higher planetary system. All this, we know it, but our mind and body, we are so attached. So every time we are with devotee, we come to the same mistake again. So by doing it, we should always ask for forgiveness in our heart, and even to the devotee if we feel that we offend the devotee. And with time, this offense will diminish, and we can serve without any selfish motives. Just to serve for the pleasure of Vaishnava and Guru. Because this is how it's Krishna is describing what is liberation. He's saying this verse, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, Nachochati Nakankshati. I don't know. Someone. Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhakti Lavate Param. So, this state where there is no lamentation, no suffering, nothing, only bliss, is a stage where we serve all the other devotees. At the beginning we come with our material desire, so we think there is only Krishna and us. And we think I should serve Krishna. And the other Vaishnava, oh no, I serve only Krishna. And the other devotees are here for serving me in my service to Krishna. But with purification, we understand that serving Krishna means serving devotee. And by this service, we can become rid of all the suffering. When we are on this neophyte stage where we think, I'm serving Krishna and devotees are helping me in this service of Krishna, we will get suffering because we will get frustration. Because it's not always that devotee will serve us. And thank you for not serving me. Please don't serve me. We should always wait from Vaishnava around us to serve them, not that they serve me. Because this is the process to come to this Anya Vilashita Shunya without pure devotional service, without desire for material pleasure. So it's this pastime is helping us on this path, and we are in a movement where we can get this benediction to be purified of this material desire, because we are following and we get the mercy of Prabhupada and Acharya, and we get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And when we are devotee, we try to become devotee. It can seem impossible sometimes, and it's not impossible, but sometimes when we read the scripture, for example, Krishna say, Shatu vida bhajante mam na janam. I don't remember. Ato jigyasu atati gyanicha bharatar shava. That when we join this movement, we join Krishna consciousness, we come because we are distressed, because we are waiting for some wealth, because we are curious, or because we want knowledge about the Absolute. So even Krishna is saying, yeah, you are coming with material desire. But what Lord Chaitanya said, he said, Na danam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam, va jagadishakam, aye mama, janmani, janishwari, bhavatad, bhakti, aituki. You should chant the holy name without any desire for wealth, wife, or some recognition from others. You should not wait any material benediction when you chant. So how is possible? Krishna said, we come to Krishna because of material desire, and Lord Chaitanya said, we should chant without material desire. But before this instruction of Lord Chaitanya, he said that we should purify our heart. We should be humble like the grass, and we should be tolerant like a tree. So we should practice with this attitude that we need to be purified of our false ego. We should purify our material attachment, and for this purification, we should chant the holy name, and with attitude of humility and tolerance, because there will be many difficulties in this path who are connected with this attachment to our material body and mind. So this, when we read scripture, we can see that by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, it is possible. And this is our only hope, to practice Sankirtan, to chant Sankirtan, to chant all together the holy name. This is our only hope, to chant with devotee the holy name, to glorify the Lord with devotee. This will purify our heart. And by purification of heart, we can be humble and tolerant. And by this humility and tolerance, we become free of all this material desire. So by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, by chanting the holy name with other devotees, by serving the devotee, serving Guru, we can purify our low state of conditionment, where we are very attached to body and mind. So this is what I really understood from this pastime. Maybe I will just read again this verse, and we can have some discussion if you want to make some comment or question. Since that time, no man had entered that forest, but now King Sudyumna, having been transformed into a female, began to walk with his associate from one forest to another. Just before the last thing, and after we can discuss, in the purport, Prabhupada is saying that now by science we can transform a body of male into a female and a body of female into a male. And when I was preaching in Paris, I saw so many of these situations actually. And you can see people, there's many people now who not accept even the body that they have and they want to change body. And they are going to do some chirurgy to get a body of male or female. But you cannot be satisfied by just changing the dress. The change should come from the heart, not from the dress. So it can seem impossible, but yeah, it's true. Nowadays people want even to change body. So if you have some question or comment or correction, yes,
Thank you very much for class. It's everything you said about the importance of service and service to the Vaishnavas is correct. In my own heart, I notice when I hear this and when I read it in Prabhupada's books, there's always that fear of being overworked in service, that hesitation, because I'm afraid I'm going to do so much service, I'm going to burn out, I'm going to become frustrated. And in conversations I've noticed sometimes other devotees have a similar fear. So how can we overcome this resistance to service, this hesitancy to fully commit to service?
That it take all, that is mean you are worried that it take all your time and become too difficult to...
And then I become exhausted, frustrated, all the negative emotions that come with burnout, what they say, the term that's used now.
Yeah, burnout. Yeah. We should always be careful on stability of but what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita is that to keep a good, healthy mind and body, we should be regulate in sleeping, eating, walking, recreation. And by practicing yoga, if we are balanced in all these different subjects, we can stay healthy. Because this situation where we become angry or it's an unhealthy situation, subtle, not materially. It can be also materially, but it can be subtle or material. It means that there is an imbalance in these different subjects. So we should always be careful for serving devotee to keep this balance. And this is how we can stay healthy in our service to Vaishnava. I made many times this mistake to be unbalanced in my regulation of sleeping and eating, and I got healthy problem. But all these problems will be if we continue to endeavor for the pleasure of the devotee, we will do mistake because we are conditioned. We have, it's for that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say, Trinada Pisai Shrunata, Lora Pisai Shrunata. There will be difficult situation and we will pass through difficulty, but we should keep always this desire to please Vaishnava and Krishna, with this understanding that by regulating our life, we can maintain this. I don't know if I answered to your question, but it's what came to my mind when you asked this.
Yes.
Okay, Hamala Bhakta.
We were saying about the heart purification, which comes through the serving Vaishnavas, the congregation congregational chanting of the holy name. And then we can purely be engaged, so it's kind of becomes like our service becomes pure. And most probably every one, every each of us come. I mean, if he thinks of his own practice, I can say about myself for sure that year after year we can practice and we can chant together. But maybe the change of heart is not happening. So what can be the cause, or it's for sure what is the problem? And then because the congregational chanting, maybe it's not enough, maybe not intense enough, because this is the remedy, you say, to purify the heart, to come to the pure devotional service. It must be like devotional service to the Vaishnavas, congregational chanting. If it's done, but the change of heart is not happening, what is the problem? And then how this service to the Vaishnavas should be performed and congregation chanting to make change of heart. I don't know, maybe others don't, but I can see in my own practice.
For the heart to change, we have to chant without committing the 10 offenses. And all other thing that we are doing is to keep ourselves safe against these offenses. Because when we are in this world, we always have tendency to commit these offenses. So everything that we are doing out of chanting is to help us to not commit the offenses. By serving, it helps us to give some value to the devotee around us, to glorify the devotee. If we're not serving, we start to offend devotee. We start to think, if you are not serving someone, you start to think, I'm better than you. So we are serving to get this attitude that I am the servant and I should glorify the devotee and not offend it. And everything that we are doing is to get this faculty to engage our mind in listening the holy name. Because Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained that all the offenses, they come from this only thing that we are inattentive when we chant it. So everything that we are doing is to help us to be attentive when we are chanting. And Krishna is teaching the main teaching in all the Bhagavad Gita. What is the only verse that coming 2 times in the Bhagavad Gita? Yeah, is to engage our mind in the service of the Lord and to worship Him. So this is Brahmanical activity. For a Brahmana who can control his mind, he can only chant and worship the Lord, and he will be pure in mind and body. But we are not Brahmana. There is no Brahmana in Kali Yoga, whatever. We are just serving some great soul. So what Krishna say? Okay, this is too difficult. Yad Karoshi, Yad Joshi, Yad I don't remember all the verse, but if your mind cannot be controlled, you cannot engage your mind in my service, so engage your body, engage your activity, engage your austerity. And this will help you one time by passing through the gross material body that we can control. You will one day control your mind. And when you will control the mind, you will be able to chant and listen what you chant. because you know when we chant, it's so difficult to just listen one of the word that we say when we chant the Maha Mantra. But by engaging, we should, when we don't see any changement in our chanting, it means that we have to be more active in our devotional life. We have to use more the gross body. It's because we think that we control the mind, but we not control the mind. We think that we are maybe a Brahmana, but we are not a Brahmana. So, like Arjuna at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, he wanted to go to the forest and meditate, and Krishna said, no, you have to fight. So we have to be more practical. When there is no changement in the heart, it means we are not enough practical, and we are too much in this idea that we can control the mind, listen fully the holy name, and just worship God. And no, we have to pass through more practical activity like distributing books. This is a very good way to be absorbed in the service. When you are distributing books, you forget everything, and you are attentive when you are distributing books. It's a good way to be attentive and in the service and to practice Yat Karoshi, Yat Joshi. And by many years, maybe of book distribution, maybe one day we will be pure devotee like Jananda Goswami, to be always engaged in with the mind, just thinking of the Lord, worshipping the Lord. And even him is showing us the example by going in the street. He's not just staying in his house, he's always active. So I think my answer will be this, to be more practical in our devotional life and less active with the mind and more with the body. We can ask help from the devotee to be more active with the body. Yes.
I just wanted to share some realizations that I had about balancing devotional service and ourselves as in this physical body. I realized that it's so important to figure out who you are, and honestly where you are at and what you need to grow in your spiritual life. And if you can observe and evaluate yourself, you can accordingly make decisions on how to grow in Krishna consciousness. And I've been struggling with having taste and desire and negative thoughts like, oh, I don't want to feel like I'm just giving. I don't have that desire yet to just selflessly give myself to Krishna. But you get past that if you sincerely just evaluate yourself and say, this is where I'm at, and I sincerely want to grow. And with the association of devotees, and if we are strong enough to continue our service, that's the growth of how we can continue. So I realized at first it takes a lot of gut to evaluate yourself, but after you do that, there's so much more that you will feel fulfilled after. Like, yes, I'm really happy to be a part of devotional service, a part of this, to be a part of growing my spiritual life. And
So you say we have to value ourselves, to know where we are, to be more sincere. This is what yeah, the best way to value ourselves actually is to be in the association of devotee, because they're showing us, because the relationship with devotee is to serve, is this idea that we should always be engaged in service. So when we are with them, it's showing us also what we are wrong, and so it's helped to value ourselves. Oh, I don't want to serve this devotee today, so it means that we have to work on ourselves. And the Goswami explained that the devotee around you, they are like a mirror of your proper heart. If you can resonate with devotee with this, and not thinking, oh, he's wrong, I'm true. So if you can really value the devotee by saying, oh, he's showing me what are my faults, what are my anatta, this association with devotee is really powerful to help us to grow in spiritual life. And we should really have this association with devotee, with the idea to serve them. It's helping us. Because value ourselves is very difficult.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I think you are very good. Yeah.
May I also add a little bit? Just as continuation of what you said, I thought, what can be the most efficient way to get benefit of this sadhu sangha, of association of devotees? On my personal experience, I had an advice when I had lots of difficulties. So one of my friends told me, if you're still trying to figure out how to get out of your out of your problems in your consciousness, the best way is just to leave it and just try to understand the consciousness of devotees around you, especially senior devotees. So basically we are very limited, our consciousness is very limited. It's like a small pond, it's, what is it in Srimad Bhagavatam, the footprint of the
calf.
Of the calf, yeah. It's like a footprint of the calf. But the devotees, the senior devotees, Janananda Goswami Maharaj, for example, it's like a Rasamrita Sindhu. It's the ocean of nectar, ocean of rasa. He's always, experiencing some emotions. He's always alive. And if we meditate on what is his state of mind, what is he thinking about, why is he doing this, and if we observe his consciousness or consciousness of other senior Vaishnavas, it actually just, it's escape of our prison of our mind. It's really powerful method, but you have to apply efforts all the time, to always take your mind from your consciousness and try to understand others.
Yes. We are always because this is the first ego, is we are selfless and we think to our pleasure. So we should always be careful in our relationship when we see that it become too strong, and when offense can come, we should take distance at this point. But when we can maintain ourselves without offending devotee, we should always stay with them, and always, because this association helps us to kill this selfless attitude. When we are with devotee, we can think to the pleasure of to their pleasure, not just our pleasure. And by thinking like this, we will get pleasure. No, this is the best way. Like Gopaswami was saying yesterday, a devotee is living under the shelter of blessing he gets. This is living through blessing. blessing by this association with devotee. Because this is the best blessing that we can have to have association with great soul like all of you. This is the best. Okay, maybe I will stop here. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada
Jai.
ki jai.
The great Lord Prabhu ki jai.